All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Hello and welcome. My name is Yasemin. I'm from the European Patients Forum, and I'm pleased to introduce you to today's POEF session called From Insight to Action, the G-Lens as a digital solution for personalized medication management and its future. This session is co-organized by EPF, the Synergist, and together with some partners from the EU project Gravitate Health, which is funded by IMI. Next slide, please. So more on the technical side, to make sure that you can engage with this session in the community and can follow the speakers in a language that is most comfortable to you. All of the POEF virtual sessions are accessible in over 50 languages, and with instant AI powered translations available in a language that you can choose from. Matt will launch an app called Wordly, and you will see a pop-up either on your screen or in the meeting chat. And to activate it, you need to click on the open button in the Wordly pop-up, and then you can choose the language of your preference. The automatic translation will then start, and you can see that on the right side of your Zoom, and you can switch between the chat and the AI translation tool when you click on chat or apps icons on the bar below your Zoom screen as you can see on this slide here. All right, I think if we're set in that way, we can move on. Before we get started, some housewarming, welcoming points. So this is an interactive session. We'll have some presentation, but we'd also like to have an active discussion. So be present and engaged. Also for you to know that all microphones will be in mute during the plenary session. Please provide your questions, comments, and feedback in the chat during the plenaries. Also, please note that this session will be recorded. And finally, let's make this workshop interesting and fun together. And hopefully by the end of it, you may want to know even more about Gravitate Health and the G-Lens. Moving on to the next slide. Our agenda for today is quite an interesting program. First, you'll hear about Gravitate Health, so an introduction for the newcomers, and then we'll dive a bit deeper into real-world application testing of the G-Lens with patients and sustainability aspects that were taken into consideration during the project. This is the part where you'll see all our speakers, and then we'll move on to breakout sessions around 3:30, where you will be divided into different groups and discuss different aspects of the G-Lens and how we can shape it better for the future. Then we'll wrap up with some lessons learned and reporting from the breakout groups. And finally, we'll do some closing and finish at 4:30. Moving on to the next slide. So for those of you who are very new to the Patient Engagement Open Forum, POEF is a series of virtual and in-person events about patient engagement. It's co-organized by PFMD, EPF, so us, and EUPATI, and it focuses on multi-stakeholder collaboration and co-creation to create a better future for patient engagement. Moving on, I'd like to introduce today's very exciting speakers. First off, we have Lene Lunde from the University of Oslo, who is a postdoctoral fellow working on the testing scenarios in evaluation in the Gravitate Health project. Then we have Ricardo Leoni, who is from Data Wizard and has been working on the development of the G-Lens concept from a technical side. Then we have Jessica Paul Mesh from Empirica, who has been working on sustainability aspects during the project, so thinking also about the future and how this can be made sustainable. And finally, we have Ronnie Monder from Pfizer, who has been working on stakeholder engagement and also patient and user engagement with us at EPF. Then the moderators. That's me, Yasemin from EPF, and I'm here with my colleague Gözde from EPF, and we also have backup from Vincent and Eleonora from the Synergist. Next slide. Today's objectives are quite straightforward. We have 4 objectives. First of all, present to you the G-Lens, which is the core output of the Gravitate Health project, as a digital solution for personalized medication management. Then also highlight the role of patient and user engagement in shaping the G-Lens concept so far. And then interact with you and learn about your thoughts and insights on unmet needs and priorities regarding the things that we will present to you. And finally, hopefully, generate ideas to make the G-Lens a more actionable and transparent tool for improved medication management. Moving on, I think we have a little poll for you to get to know you better. One of my colleagues will launch it. I don't know if you can see it already. Ah, yes. So the first question is, have you heard about the Gravitate Health Project and the G-Lens before? So basically to know if this is the first time you hear about it or if you know it very well. And then please don't forget to scroll down so to let us know which stakeholder group you belong to. Pick the one, if there's more than one that applies, pick the one that applies the most. And let's wait a minute or so until answers are coming in. All right, most of you have already voted. I see already a trend that most of the people who answered hear about Gravitate Health and the G-Lens for the first time. That is excellent. You will learn about the basics very soon. And then there are some people who already know it quite well. In terms of the stakeholder groups, we have a lot of representation from individual patient and citizen. That is excellent. We're very excited to hear from you later on in the breakout groups. We also have NGO representation, academia, and then a little bit from industry, nurses, pharmacists, technology developers, and patient organizations. All right, so with that, I close the poll. And I will hand over to the first speaker, Ronnie, who will give you an introduction to the project.
Thanks so much, Yasmin. Next slide, please. And next slide. So before we go into and present what Gravitate Health is, and my colleagues give you more details, I think it's important that we set the scene about product information for medicines. So let's go to next slide. So you're all familiar with patient information that often people see as a medicines paper leaflet that's made available in your medicines pack. Quite often, this document can have small font sizes, which hinder readability. It can be a bit complex as well. There can be more than one language as well. And quite often, the most up-to-date scientific or safety information has a time lag for putting in new information into that paper version. And quite often, we know that people have difficulty sometimes understanding or navigating around that paper version. So that actually pushes people to look on the World Wide Web. And quite often, we're finding that actually accessing trusted information can be a problem. And this is also a key challenge for those patients that we know are aged or have chronic diseases, have sight or hearing impairments, or are on multiple treatments, and they need to refer to various paper leaflets that all have information that could be really important but hard to decipher. Next slide, please. But we can make a difference on how that information is presented to our patients and ourselves. Next slide, please. So what can we do? We can provide product information that can be easily accessible online via the availability of an electronic product information. I'll be referring to that as EPI. Now, the availability of EPI has made us make available very fast, newly updated and authorized information that's been approved by the regulatory authority in that country where the patient or the healthcare professional is. We're able to provide that trusted source of information that is able to be provided quite quickly because it's online. Now, that EPI can be made available in certain formats, which can be XML, HTML, or even PDF. But even at the basic level of a PDF, those basic features like enlarging the text and searching for keywords also helps patients and their caregivers. Next slide. We also know, as I said earlier, that understanding is really important. So health literacy and making sure that people feel confident, knowledgeable, and are motivated to make decisions about their health in everyday life is really important. So how you read, write, and understand information is really important. So quite often when you go to see a physician or you're having a conversation, if you're not quite clear, you can hear just words, as you can see in that left pictorial. And quite often the information can be thought is quite straightforward, where it says take 2 pills 4 times a day, but that can be confusing to some people. So how we express that information and how it is understood is really important in making sure that the medicine is taken properly and at the right times and why you would need to take it that way. So understanding your health and what is happening to your body is really obviously important to all of us as patients and for supporting patients. Next slide, please. And alongside health literacy, obviously there's the importance of digital health literacy. So digital literacy is important because we want to make sure that patients and their caregivers and healthcare professionals can become quite easily familiar with health apps, wearables, online portables. So navigation or user experience is really important. But what's also important is that trust, right? And the privacy and the security that comes with that trust. Making sure that obviously there is effective communication and there's effective understanding of how that access interpretation of electronic health records is done. Next slide, please. So this is where Gravitate Health comes in. And as I said, my colleagues are going to tell you a little bit more about this, but Gravitate Health is a private public partnership. It's an EU-funded initiative aimed to improve how patients access and understand health information. And it's got an amazing group of 45 partners. It's a 5-year project. We have about a year to go. It is obviously a European project, but it has global outreach. And as you can see, we have a number of academia and research institutes. We have regulators, we have standards organizations, we have a patients forum, and we have key other healthcare providers and digital technical expertise, as well as FPM members. So there are an amazing set of knowledge and skill sets that are coming together to really improve how patients access and understand information. Next slide, please. So what Gravitate Health's objective is to provide personalized, focused, but not concealed content from trusted health information sources to the user and demonstrate its benefit for access to and understanding of information and adherence to their patient journey. So why are we doing that? To promote better understanding and use of medicines, support health literacy, make sure there's safe and informed decision making. But importantly, it's designed with patients, not just for them. But it's also important to know what it is not. It is not a medical device or a diagnostic tool. It's not a pharmaceutical marketing platform. It's not a replacement for regulated product information. And it's not just an app. It's a flexible solution for integration into health systems. And simply think of it as the G-Lens, which you'll get to know in a few minutes, it's not a new digital health gadget, but it's an enabler, a connector that brings the right information in the right way to the right person at the right time. Next slide, please. So, and it's important just to end here with saying that the patient voice, as I mentioned before, is embedded in the design, testing, and requirements. As we've gone through the project, patients and their patient representatives, healthcare professionals, and citizens have been consulted and they advised on our work. Next slide, please. And you'll see more on this, but generally this is the front end, and there's lots of amazing work happening on the back end. But this is which is an example of the MPV that we have, the minimal viable product, where you can see the full leaflet, a focus leaflet, and a summary of leaflet. And my colleagues in the next few slides will tell you more about this. So handing over to Lene and Ricardo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ricardo and I will talk you through the real-world application testing of the G-Lens with the patients. We will not be showing you very deep dive into what the G-Lens is and what the functionalities really are on the technical level, but we will show you some pictures from different solutions that are using G-Lens functionality. So the next slide, please. So Gravitate Health is engaged in a comprehensive series of testing and evaluation activities, and this is just to give you an overview over all of the testing scenario cluster that we have within the project. And our validation activities are organized into these three pillars that you see. And so on the right side, you have user research and insights. So in Ireland, US, and Italy, as well as within the Unicom demonstrator, we are investigating user needs and perceptions and more of research focus. And this research aims to deepen our understanding of how attractive and trustworthy and useful users find the G-Lens technology more on a conceptual level. And in the middle, you see the advanced functionality testing. And here we have Denmark and Portugal, who has conducted advanced testing of the G-Lens functionality using realistic user scenarios and synthetic data. And we also have regular contributions from our user advisory group and also the ecosystem that provide valuable data on the progress as we are in the development phase. And on the left side, you see the testing at scale that is planned for patient cohorts in Spain, Sweden, and Norway. And these tests will utilize actual patient health data with their own personal health data to evaluate the G-Lens real-world applicability and impact. And for the presentation today, we will present 3 specific scenarios with their use cases to illustrate how we are testing with the patients. So next slide. But first, I would just like to give you an overview over the testing scenario roadmap, just to give you a visualization of where we are. And as you can see, we have already had interactions with the user advisory group this year, and we are right about to launch the MVP3 testing with user advisory group, ecosystems, and the consortium. This is a fictional test with the fictional user data. And you can also see that the Spanish and Norwegian scenario is going forward with testing. Unfortunately, the Swedish scenario was not able to test anything with real patients, and that's really unfortunate. But this was due to a change in the EHR and also safety concerns from the local IT department. And that's also impossible for us to do anything about. And in Denmark, Portugal, and in Italy, the testing is finalized, and we also have some Unicom demonstrators pending. So there you have the overview. So next, please. So our testing scenarios are focusing on integrating G-Lens functionality across different settings to evaluate if it's possible. And here's a brief interview of the 3 scenarios that we're going to explain today. In Denmark and Norway, the G-Lens functionality is integrated within existing services, and this approach allows us to enhance and personalize patient interactions within an already existing system. But in Spain, we are implementing the G-Lens functionality within the G-Lens app. And also please note that this is the test environment developed to test the functionality. We are not, as Ronny said, just an app. We are not launching one solution. So this scenario provides opportunity to test the full capabilities of GeneLens functionality within a standalone application. So these scenarios illustrate our commitment to evaluate across diverse contexts and will give us more information on how to integrate within an existing system and how to use it as a standalone approach. So next, please. So first, I will tell you a little bit about the Danish scenario. In Denmark, they have integrated the GeneLens functionality into My Doctor app, Min Læge. And these tools facilitate seamless access to healthcare services, and it's an existing service. So here you can book appointments, you can do e-consultations, video consultations, get a look at your vaccination records, and also view your medication management. And this app is currently used by 2.6 million unique users and approximately 1 million active users monthly. So this is a app that is in, or functionality that is in use. Next, please. And in the Danish scenario, they have done extensive technical testing using a hybrid side focusing mode. And this has ensured that the data are stored locally with only necessary information processed externally and complying with the national legal and privacy regulation, because that's important when you are trying to integrate anything in different countries. You have to be aware of the legal and privacy regulation in that country. But they have not only done technical testing, they have also done testing with real users and synthetic data to evaluate the functionality's value and usability. Specifically for the Danish scenario, they were testing with the diabetes patients. So this allowed us to get a view on how this patient group found the GeneLens functionality and also integrated within an app they already knew from before. Next, please. And here you can see some pictures from the Danish app. All of the wording is in Danish, but I will explain what you see. The first picture shows the medication Ozempic, and the text after the exclamation marks. There might be some small for you to see, but there are 2 exclamation marks, and they explain to the user, Fredrik, that he is allergic to one ingredient in the medication, and that there is a potential interaction with Ozempic and insulin, another prescribed medication on his list. The second picture shows the EPI. The third picture shows highlighted information important for the user. And the last picture shows an explanation of why the text was highlighted. Next, please. And in the Norwegian scenario, we are integrating functionalities that are quite similar to the GeneLens into an existing platform known as Capable Life. And Capable Life is a research-based digital solution developed to support patients' use of their own information. Next, please. And we are planning to test this application with real patients with their own data. And the patient group is inflammatory bowel disease patients. Currently, we are waiting for the Data Protection Office to approve our testing at the hospital, but we are hopeful that we will start the real patient testing soon. And this platform also has a client-side focusing mechanism. That means that it's not integrated into the EHR in the hospital, but the patient has to add their own data. And this is in compliance with our national legal privacy. And yeah, you can take the next. And the Capable Life offers a comprehensive list of features that you can see on the slide. But I'd like to highlight the possibility for a synchronous two-way communication with healthcare professionals and self-assessment tools for monitoring symptoms and health status. This is a functionality that currently only is available in this scenario. And you also, of course, have the medication management and the GeneLens functionalities. Next, please. And here you have a few pictures from the Capable platform as well. The first picture shows the medication list for my test user. The second picture shows the EPI for the medication Pentasa. And you can see an explanation of why some information is highlighted or suppressed. And the third picture shows the highlighted text. And the last picture shows some additional information like the picture of the medication from the EPI. And I will now give the word to Ricardo to continue our presentation.
Okay, thank you, Lene. So now I'm going to describe the Spanish scenario, so the G-Lens app that we realized from scratch for the Spanish scenario. And it was designed to focus and personalize health information based on the user's individual context. Also, in this G-Lens app, there is the focusing mechanism, but in this case operates on the server side, meaning that also it's also easier to update this module also without creating a new release for the application. We are now preparing to test this system with real patients, as Lenny also just mentioned, specifically targeting people and patients with HIV and IBD. This group will engage with their own data to the Gilens app, providing important feedback to complete the work for the next phase of the project. Next slide, please. So this is a list of functionalities that it's not a complete list, but quite complete of the Gravitate app that as you can see, the user login, a profile page where the user can see his international patient summary. That is an extraction of the health electronic record. Also, we will see in the next slides, we have developed some section regarding the leaflet. One is regarding the personalized leaflet. One other is the summary leaflet. Also here, we created a kind of two-way communication, but in this case with a chatbot, so the user can ask questions on the API and will be answered shortly. So please, next slide. So these are some slides to give just some screenshots to give an overview of the application. So the first one is the profile where the user can see also if it's not so big, but they can see is detailed information regarding, in this case, problem list, gender, and so on. On the second screen, you can see a medication list. This list is only of the prescribed medication to the user. In this list are not present over-the-counter medication. So the third screen is appearing when the user click on one medication. So for each medication, the user can view a leaflet, a raw leaflet that we can see on the first slide, on the first screenshot, where the leaflet is divided into sections. The user can search for words or phrases inside the leaflet. So yes, please, next slide. Okay, so the first screenshot is representing a disclaimer regarding the personalization section. So to advise the users that, of course, he have to contact also the doctor to be sure of every information that he read. The second screen that was also present in the Danish scenario application is something related to the relevant information for the users. So it highlights the important part that are highlighted in the third screen, that as in the Danish scenario, there is a section or part of a section highlighted in relation to the international patient summary of the user. The first slide is the first screenshot is just the features that the user can use for each medication. Okay, so now I can go also quicker, but the second slide is a summary leaflet. So is let's say a summary of the leaflet, so of the API generated by the AI by our module is of course in a testing phase that will be tested in MVP3. The screenshot is related to the supporting material that we added for each medication. The user can consult also other external material. And so you can go to the next slide, please. So in relation of that, so of course, this version that you just saw of the Gilens app has evolved during those years. So it has been improved based also on feedback from multiple testing phases that we performed. So we perform testing phases for each version of the app that we release. So for the MVP1, MVP2, and also MVP3. So now we are in the tiered iteration, and the application is ready to be tested. It is populated with synthetical medical data so that the user can test the app, can test how the app works, but without entering sensitive real-world data. So also the app, this MVP3 application is available for Android and iOS devices. You can go to the next slide, please. So we will be very happy if you also test this application, this MVP3 version. So we will offer two types of testing opportunities. One, it's let's say more easy, so the participant can engage with the app on a short term and provide usability and maybe also technical feedback in order to improve the application. And also we will offer an extended MVP3 testing, so more or less 4-week commitment where the participants will also complete pre and post testing surveys. So this also allows us to assess not only some technical issue or so other things, but also to any potential changes to improve the information engagement, to improve also the user experience in certain cases. So we are grateful for your interest and look forward for your participation, if you will. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, from this we move on to some sustainability and exploitation related considerations. So now that you've seen all of the amazing work that has been conducted in Gravitate Health so far, of course, the question that comes up is where do we go from here? So how do we make the Gravitate Health outputs last? From a rather technical perspective, we're of course looking at how the Innovation Health Initiative defines exploitation. So we're considering, as you can see here on the slide, how specific results that we as a project have developed can then be used in different contexts. So either in a commercial way, in an overall societal or political way, and how we can integrate the specific outputs, some of which you've already seen in the presentations, into specific services or activities. Next slide, please. And we do all of this, of course, keeping in mind that we want to go from project to practice. And we are already laying the groundwork now, as you see, through activities like today, where we want to connect with potential future users of Gravitate Health and really co-create and get some input on how you would like to use what we're working on in the future. And this is, some of the groundwork that we're doing now and that will hopefully be able to scale up in the future. Next slide. Some of the key project results you've seen on the previous slides, but I would like to highlight a couple of examples based on the innovation radar for Gravitate Health here. So we have a Fire API implementation guide, and I will go into what that exactly means in a second. For those of you who are not familiar with this abbreviation, we have the Gravitate Health Collaborative Community and the Gravitate Health Federated Open Source Technology Platform. And all of this is also available on the Innovation Radar if you would like to look into this into more detail after this meeting. Next slide, please. With the Fire API implementation guide, what the project has developed is an implementation guide using the FHIR standard. FHIR stands for Fast Healthcare Interoperability Resources, which demonstrates how to, at least in a technical way, integrate patient health information from the International Patient Summary with the EPI documents. And the goal here is, of course, for us at least as a project, to provide focused medicines information. And as we have already heard in the introductory poll that was conducted, we have some developers here among us. So this could be, for example, interesting for you in the future to use or to learn from the knowledge created within the Gravitate Health project. Next slide, please. Another example of a very concrete output that we as a project have produced is also the collaborative community. So people like you who are here today, so not just the consortium that has been working hard together to create these outputs, but also the connections themselves are an output that we as a consortium are immensely proud of. And that extends well beyond the scope of our project and well beyond the borders of Europe, so to say. And it encompasses a variety of stakeholder groups such as patient organizations, governments and regulatory bodies, industry leaders, including pharma and medtech, academia and standard development bodies. And what this helps us do is to really make sure that we can have a holistic view on the topic of EPI. And it also gives us the opportunity during the lifetime of the project to engage all of these stakeholders, but also in scaling up after the project lifetime, we can make sure that all views are respected and that we have the support that is needed to scale this up. Next slide, please. And lastly, what you've seen quite a lot of already in the presentation from Lene and Ricardo is, of course, the platform. I think Ronnie, in her introduction, used the term connector, and I think this really describes it really well. We don't just see the Gravitate Health app, whose interface you've seen on the previous slide, as the singular output, but we see that there's a variety of use cases in which Gravitate Health could be implemented. So whether that be really as a full operating app by itself, or just by using the G-Lens in already existing apps, such as, for example, Capable, which was also highlighted in one of the previous slides. So as you can see, there's really a huge potential for a variety of end-user services that will then depend on the local deployment, which you could see in the MVP presentation. And because of this, there's of course also a variety of possible business models that we're currently considering as a project. And to gauge also your interest and learn about opportunities that you could also see for the services that we have developed as a project, we can dive deeper into your ideas for that in the co-creation session that will follow just after this. And with that, on the next slide, I close the brief introduction to Gravitate Health. If you would like to learn more about the project, of course, you can visit our website, our social media platforms, but also you can subscribe to our newsletter and you can use the QR code on the slide to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, everyone. With that, I hand over to Vincent to give you a quick introduction about how we will do the breakout sessions.
Thank you so much, Yasmin, and everyone else for the great and insightful presentations. It's really exciting for me to be part of this project and see firsthand how digital health and innovations require a strong multi-stakeholder and multidimensional approach. So I have one question for all the participants, which is if you're ready to join this effort now, because we want you to put your minds to work and help us navigate how we can prepare for the future of Gravitate Health. You've heard about the purpose of the Gravitate Health project. We've heard about real-world application examples to test the solution and our long-term ambitions in the project. And now we want to dive into all these different topics in 4 breakout groups. Those will not be up to your choice, but you will be automatically allocated. However, later on in the group map, which you see on the slide right now, you'll be able to navigate into the breakout group that you have been assigned. So we will be using the group map functionality. Once you are in your breakout groups in the Zoom room, you'll get a link that you can click on. It's very easy from there on. You just put your email address. You'll be enabled to join the group map space through that process, and then your facilitator in your breakout room will guide you to the right map to put down your ideas there and see what others think about the topic. And of course, we encourage that this is interactive, and we encourage everyone to speak up and out loud. But the group map functionality will be there to help you also put your thoughts down when the conversation doesn't allow for your idea to be brought up immediately. One little disclaimer that I want to mention is that it is much better if you are on a computer. So if you are on an iPad or an iPhone or a mobile phone in general, you might encounter some digital blurbs. But please let us know if you have any issues along the process, and the team in the breakout rooms will be able to help you. With that, I think that we are ready to break into the groups and be introduced to our topics of conversation.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. Not sure if everybody is back already.
Not yet, I think. Yes, I mean, I think we pushed on the leave the room so that they're waiting for the timer to maybe end as well. So they will be starting to come.
Our
Okay,
timer ended, so probably we should be all back now.
Okay. Then from the participants list, I think we're okay. Yeah, it should be about everyone. Let's wait a few more seconds just in case. All right, I think that's fine. So yeah, moving on to a quick lessons learned reporting back section where we'll just rotate between all the 4 groups. Maybe the people who will report back from their group can tell us what their group was discussing and give us a few points about you have about a minute. And then we'll close the session. So maybe the team of Vincent and Jessica wants to start, since I see you already on the screen, Vincent.
Yeah, sure, I can start, and then please, Vincent, feel free to interrupt. It's difficult to summarize this in a minute because we had quite a rich discussion. The first question that we talked about was regarding what everyone thought the added value that Gravitate provides is really all about. And we talked about different stakeholder perspectives, so both highlighting the added value directly to the patient and but also considering kind of the communication, for example, between a healthcare professional and a patient and a carer, and how Gravitate Health could support within that throughout the patient journey, which was quite interesting. The second question that we discussed was regarding whether there's anything else that could support the patient with reliably taking their medicines with confidence that they have not yet seen in the demonstration that was shown today. And there were quite a few suggestions, also ranging, from information on drug shortages, different access profiles, for example, differentiating between patient and carers, also connecting to research, so clinical trials, for example, and also multi-country views, for example. So quite a lot of different perspectives, and these are only a few of the examples that we discussed. And then lastly, we talked about the topic of integration. So what national health or medicines information services people are already aware of, that they would like to see the G-Lines integrated in. And we talked about quite a lot of different opportunities, so also ranging from pharmacy systems to different platforms that patients are already using today, and then also again the perspective of clinical trials. Yeah, and I think that about covers it, at least as far as we can summarize within this time. And yeah, thank you everyone for these great contributions.
Thank you, Jessica. Maybe the next team, Gözde.
I can go very quickly. We had some heated conversation in our group as well, I must say, but it's very important to cover a few things. Is we discussed about the trust on the supporting materials. So first, we're not calling it only supporting materials, supporting patients' materials, not supporting the electronic health leaflets or the electronic leaflets, because we agree that they are very technical and very legal, very difficult to understand. Turning them digital is not going to solve any problems, or removing some parts or highlighting some parts is not going to make any difference if we do not make these materials that are supporting side materials that are going to actually help users to understand what is exactly happening there. So that was one of the key things. So one of the things that highlighted was how we could do very well is work with the patient groups and healthcare professional organizations in order to, during the course of the project, so that we make sure, and we're already doing, but we can increase that. Plain language, it's one of the key things that was mentioned, with medical abbreviations explained. It kind of helps support the trust. That's not enough. We know health systems are very difficult and different in different countries. So we believe that trust has a much deeper, and that was discussed as well, that it's like the roots are very crucial. And with this project, we might not be able to achieve that. We would really like to make sure there are materials out there that are some sort of endorsed by patient groups, patient organizations, or groups that patients trust or citizens trust, that as supporting materials. So this was more or less the conversation we had in our group. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we have the team of Lene and Ricardo.
Yeah, thank you. I can just briefly say we had a very small group, but we had very good discussion. And we touched upon some of the issues that are already been described. What is the additional information that can be applied in the app? How can we make sure that it's from trustworthy sources? How can patient organizations be able to help us deliver the right information to the patient? The GLANs would need to be implemented with the correct language. Where can we get the clear language? And also only relying on the leaflet regarding impact on clinical decision making can be problematic in certain cases, because it is a lot of contradictions within the leaflet, and sometimes it only says please consult your doctor. So we need something extra, some additional information, health education material. So, but yeah, that's the main issue, I think. If you don't have anything to add, Ricardo?
I think that you summarized very well. Thank you.
Thank you both. And I go last on user experience and patient empowerment. So we had a couple of topics. The first one was trustworthy information sources. And there was a clear trend for a preference for public health organizations and institutions being the sources of information, as well as patient organizations. In terms of health literacy information, there are some points. One was that, of course, the information should be in plain language and jargon-free so that it's easy to understand, and also plain language summaries for patients. Then also supported by video and visual information, and also being able to have graded information in the sense that first you can access very basic information, and if you want to dig deeper, you can kind of find out more. And finally, also the aspect of research, validated research being accessible in the sense that you can look more online and see different peer-reviewed research papers and so on to kind of get more confidence in the information. In terms of features and personalization, of course, it's important that they are easy to use, clear, especially when taking multiple medications, and also being able to play around with the order of the features to personalize it more and make it easier to use. and also to have interoperability with different systems and different medical providers. And finally, in terms of privacy and security, of course, it should be clear who can access your information and who is responsible for the data, and who is updating the information in the GLens. So those were the key points. Yeah, unless Ronnie, you want to add anything?
No, great summary. Thank you. Thanks for input from everyone too.
All right, thank you. With that, I move on to the closing. So we're almost at the end of the session. The whole team wants to thank you all for participating, for your valuable contributions. We really, really appreciate it. And just to let you know that, yeah, the slides are being pulled up again. Great. That Gravitate Health will run until around the same time, June next year. So stay tuned for the final outputs. We're also working, as mentioned before, on an FAQ document, so frequently asked questions that will release very soon. So have a look at it once we release that, and hopefully we'll answer any questions that have been unanswered. And as you can see here, please let us know what you think about this session. You can scroll down through the poll. The first question is about how likely you're to suggest this session to a friend or colleague. And if you're interested in learning more about this project in the future, please type your email address below, so then we can, for instance, share with you more information about upcoming events or the FAQ or whatever it may be. We're just waiting a few seconds for the incoming answers to the poll, and then I won't keep you much longer here today. We have about half of the people who voted. All right. So thank you so much for joining today. It was a great session. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.